welcome His Grace Amarendr Gaur Prabhu and Her Grace Sukirti Madhavi Devi Dasi. Prabhuji, Mataji, I'm audible. Okay, you are here. Thank you so much. Out of your busy schedule, you have come here. And Mataji, you can share the screen. Everyone is allowed, so you can share the screen also easily. And today's topic is Expansions of Lord Nityananda, 11th chapter from Adi-lila. And when you speak about 11th chapter, so we request that little bit of previous chapter, 10th chapter, you can mention. And before that, Vishnu Prabhu will give the brief introduction of Amarendr Gaur Prabhu and Her Grace Sukirti Madhavi. Vishnu Prabhu, please go ahead in brief.
Sure, Prabhu, thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhuji and Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. His Grace Amarendr Gaur Das is a Bhakti Yogi, motivator and spiritual lifestyle coach. He holds a degree in management from one of India's prestigious management schools and was formerly heading a division of an educational firm. His educational qualification as a Bhakti Shastri and a trained educator has helped him spearhead many courses like Applied Bhagavad Gita, Culture of Respect, Discover Yourself in corporates, youth clubs, temples, and extended society. His Grace Amarendr Gaur Das has been practicing Bhakti Yoga for the last 16 years and volunteers at ISKCON Chennai in the temple management. He has also completed the Leadership Education and Development Systems programs and has served in Dubai and has traveled to Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, Ajman, Kuwait, Singapore, and Brunei for various ISKCON projects. Her Grace Sukirti Madhavi Devi Dasi, she has been teaching the Bhagavad Gita and related spiritual literature to people for the past 12 years and has seen phenomenal results in transforming lives of people. Being a certified psychotherapist, Sukirti Madhavi Devi Dasi has professionally counseled people from different walks of life for inmates in Tihar jail, for drug abusers, teenagers, college students, housewives, and young professionals for about 2 decades. She has been practicing Bhakti Yoga for 16 years and serves it at ISKCON Chennai. She also conducts various workshops like Discover Yourself, Transform Yourself, Excel by Willpower, Secrets of Lasting Relationships, Power of Habits, Time Management for Fruitful Future, etc. Now we request Prabhuji and Mataji to go ahead with the lecture.
And Prabhuji, Mataji, one more request is that up to 8:30 you can proceed, and after that 10-15 minutes we can have the question answer session. And in between, in the recorded lecture, I have heard many times your recorded lecture in YouTube, and where Mataji and Prabhuji sang Gorango Bolite Habe Pulako Shorire. So I request Prabhuji, Mataji to sing in between or end of the lecture. So it is a request from my side.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to come to this forum and speak on Caitanya Charitamrita. Caitanya Charitamrita being the most important Gaudiya Vaishnav literature. So like as we know, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that if all these scriptures, for some odd reasons, if all these scriptures go missing, and if there is just one Caitanya Charitamrita which remains, then we can actually pull out all the other scriptures as well. So the essence, the juice, the cream, the nectar of Bhakti Yoga has been taught by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, who has come as a devotee and he establishing these principles. So we are so very happy and grateful to all the devotees giving us an opportunity to glorify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and more specifically in today's session talking about Lord Nityananda. So thank you very much. Before we begin the session, Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha
Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Mevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Upam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkrupatam Ham Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram.
So here we begin chapter 11 from Adi-lila, Caitanya Charitamrita. The title is The Expansions of Lord Nityananda. And let's all recite this verse together before we enter there. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
All glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya.
So seeking the blessings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Chandra Prabhu, and all the devotees, including all of you, the exalted Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who have come together to understand Chaitanya Charitamrita, seeking all your blessings, we will be beginning the chapter number 11. And so it is, it's very nice that we have successfully completed 10 chapter. So in the last chapter, what you would have attended, the description was there of this beautiful, amazing devotional tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and its branches, its trunk, its branches, its sub branches. So many devotees. Last session, I'm sure, would have been such a treat to the ears because we were discussing about many amazing devotees. So last chapter was broadly divided into 4 sections. The first was offering the obeisances, and then the balance 3 sections were talking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees from different places. So the first section, we heard about Mahaprabhu's devotees from Odisha and Bengal. So starting from Srivas Thakur, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Vakreshwar, Jagannath, so many exalted devotees. And we read about 90 branches and sub-branches which are originating from Orissa and Bengal. And this Orissa, which we discussed in this section, the first section, did not encompass Jagannath Puri. So leaving Jagannath Puri, the balance Orissa and Bengal, 90 branches. The second section was about the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. So Jagannath Puri itself, devotees like Paramananda Puri, Svarup Damodar, etc. We discussed 37 such branches. And in the last section where we discussed about the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Varanasi. So 3 very, very important, exalted, wonderful devotees whom Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally met. He stayed there in one of their houses and he had prasadam at the other place. So these 3 devotees were Chandrasekhar, Vaidya, Tapan Mishra and Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. So this is what we have already discussed, and proceeding in today's chapter. So this chapter total has 61 verses. And here we will see that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, twice he mentions that he has no qualification and he has no ability or capability to describe this amazing tree and its sub branches, which is originating from Nityananda Prabhu. So he says it is huge, but then he has tried to give us the summary because Nityananda Prabhu's preaching was amazing. He is Adi Guru, so who can be a better preacher than Nityananda? So he had so many amazing disciples, and from them started other branches. So that we would see in verse number 8 to 61. So 1 to 7 is obeisances, and 8 to 61 branches of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Padamboja Bringan Prema Madhunmadan Natva Khilanteshu Mukhya Likhyante Katichinmaya.
After offering my obeisances unto all the devotees of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who are like bumblebees collecting honey from his lotus feet, I shall try to describe those who are the most prominent. So Krishnadas Kaviraj is offering the obeisances unto all the devotees of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, whom he is describing as bumblebees who are collecting the honey, the nectarian honey of love of God from the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu. So here he's saying that he will describe only the prominent ones, as he did previously for Lord Chaitanya.
Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu Shri Krishna Chaitanya Tahara Charana Shrita Ye Se Dhanya. Jaya Jaya Shri Advaita Jaya Nityananda Jaya Mahaprabhu Sarva Bhakta Vrinda. So here basically we are reading the names and offering the obeisances. Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu Shri Krishna Chaitanya. So Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the first obeisances goes to him. Tahara Charan Ashrita Ye Se Dhanya. So Charan Ashrit means taking the shelter of the lotus feet. So whoever takes the shelter of the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is the benediction? Ye Se Dhanya. So that person becomes glorious. Just by taking the shelter of the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a person becomes glorious. All the glories come to him because everything in his life becomes auspicious. How? Because he has understood the position of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Jaya Jaya Shri Advaita Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu Sarva Bhakta Vrinda. So Advaita Charya, Nityananda Prabhu offering obeisances to them, and then the author offers obeisances to all the devotees, Sarva Bhakta Vrinda, all the devotees of Mahaprabhu. So here when he says all the devotees of Mahaprabhu, he is actually talking about the devotees of Mahaprabhu who were there at that time, and all the future devotees who would become like time to come, whoever becomes the devotee. So he is offering obeisances to them also. So he is offering obeisances to all the devotees. Shri Nityananda Vrakshachir Skandha Guru Tara Tahate Janmila Shakha Prakasha Vistara.
Prashakha Vistara. So Sri Nityananda Prabhu is an extremely heavy branch of the Sri Chaitanya tree. From that branch grow many branches and sub branches. So one thing we need to understand is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the tree of love, and that tree is indestructible. And of that tree, the topmost and the heaviest branch is Nityananda Prabhu. So that is the extremely heavy branch, the topmost branch of the tree of love of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Nityananda Prabhu is the topmost and the heaviest, and from that we can understand the position of Nityananda Prabhu.
Asankhya Ananta Gana Ke Karu Ganana
आपना शोधिते कही मुख्य मुख्य जाना.
Asankhya. Asankhya means countless, innumerable. Asankhya, Anant. Anant is unlimited. So there are unlimited and innumerable devotees of Nityananda Prabhu. Ke karu ganana? How can I count them, or who could count them? Then why am I writing, or why am I mentioning about them? So Krishnadas Kaviraj says, Apana shodhite kahi mukhya mukhya jan. So I am describing mukhya mukhya. Mukhya means important or significant. So I'm describing all the important, prominent, significant devotees only, because there are countless devotees. So even if I want, I cannot describe them all. And why am I describing is apana shodhite, for my personal purification. So when I am attempting to do this impossible task of mentioning the devotees of Nityananda Prabhu, this way I will be gaining some personal glorification. So actually Srila Prabhupada writes there in the purport that when we are studying scripture, or when we are writing scripture, writing any spiritual literature, so it is not for any material name or fame or profit. So generally, like when the author writes some book, so basically, why is he writing? To earn some money, to share his knowledge, of course, but because of the knowledge, he wants to make his living, he wants to earn money. But here, Krishna Das Kaviraj is setting a standard for all of us, that if we get into this, if we get into teaching or preaching or writing, so it should not happen for any material profit. And then why should it happen? For personal purification. So when I remember, when I meditate, when I do this manan and smaran of the devotees, wonderful exalted Vaishnavas, so that purifies me, because just by remembering them, or just by meditating on their wonderful qualities, I gradually acquire those qualities, and that's how I become purified.
So verses 8 to 61 starts the branch description of the branches of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Shri Veerbhadra Gosai Skandha Mahashakha Tanra Upashakhayata Asankhyatara Lekha. So the first person with whom Krishnadas Kaviraj begins in the line of Nityananda Prabhu is Shri Veerbhadra Gosai. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that Veerbhadra Gosai is non-different from Shirodakshai Vishnu. He is Shirodakshai Vishnu. The Lord himself has come as a devotee. So this is the greatest branch of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So Lord Nityananda Prabhu is the heaviest, biggest branch of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and of Nityananda Prabhu, the branch of Shri Veerbhadra Gosai is the greatest branch. He was born a son of Lord Nityananda and Vasudha, and disciple of Jahanva Devi. So what is very interesting is that Veerbhadra Gosai, being Shirodakshai Vishnu, is actually non-different from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is Supreme Lord himself. But being the Lord, he was not, he's not bound to follow the Vedic rules, regulations, he's beyond them. But still he presented himself as a great devotee, strictly following the Vedic rituals. And in fact, he's considered as a main pillar of the hall of devotional service erected by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there is a hall of devotional service, which is the main pillar bearing the load of the roof and of the hall is Shri Veerbhadra Gosai. So what is amazing is that he was a great devotee. Being the Lord, he he presented himself as a great devotee, completely prideless. He had no pride, and therefore when we see this, we can learn this from the Lord himself, that how devotees need to be free from this pride. Otherwise, it becomes a huge obstacle in our progress in devotional life.
Adyapi yahara kripa mahima haite Chaitanya Nityananda Gaya Sakala Jagate. It is by the glorious mercy of Shri Veerbhadra Gosai that people all over the world now have the chance to chant the names of Chaitanya and Nityananda. So Veerbhadra Goswami is being glorified here, and it's mentioned Yadyapi Yahara Kripa. It is his Kripa, it is his mercy that until today people are getting this access. They are getting connected to Chaitanya and Nityananda. We get to know about him because it's all because of the glorious work of Veerbhadra Gosai. Sei Veerbhadra Gosai Lainu Sharana Yahara Prasade Haya Abhishta Purana.
I therefore take shelter of the lotus feet of Veerbhadra Gosai, so that by his mercy my great desire to write Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita will be properly guided. So this is the life work of Krishnadas Kaviraj, and we remember from the previous chapters that how Haridas Pandit and other Vaishnavas of Vrindavan, they had requested Krishnadas Kaviraj that you please write the later pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because the earlier pastimes were already compiled in Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das, but the later pastimes were not enumerated. Devotees knew, and it was in the verbal the devotees who knew would tell others, but they were not really still in the written form. So they all requested Krishnadas Kaviraj to put it in writing. And then of course we also remember that Krishnadas Kaviraj went seeking blessings of Madan Mohan, and the deity gave the blessings when the garland fell. So that time he understood that I have Lord's blessings, devotees blessing, and then he seek the blessings and permission of Vrindavan Das Thakur, and here he is seeking the blessings of Veerbhadra Gosai. So that here he is writing, my great desire to write Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So his great desire is as a service to the entire Gaudiya Vaishnava community, devotee community of the past and of all time to come.
Actually, that way it is so very important and significant. Like you are saying that earlier devotees would talk about it, but it wasn't documented. So can we imagine what would have been the outcome if it wasn't documented? So one is many stories would have been lost with the time, and second is whatever would have come down to us like 500 years down, if it would have traveled without documentation, then we don't know how much of contamination it would have carried, like different people receiving it as per their mindset and then giving their own concocted meaning, and then it travels. So it is such an amazing service what he has done, and that's why he's writing. And what is he praying for? He's praying that Chaitanya Charitamrita will be properly guided. So he's praying for the guidance of the seniors. So again, we need to learn from Krishnadas Kaviraj as what should be our mindset if we are trying to be a preacher, if we are trying to distribute this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what has to be our mood and attitude towards it.
In fact, Srila Prabhupada writes in one of the previous purpose that how for any devotional service, it should be done under superior guidance and for our purification.
Ramadasa Mukhya Shakha Sakhya Prema Rashi Shola Sangir Kashtaye Tuli Kaila Vamshi. So now we understand that basically Nityanand Prabhu's associates were all actually present in the Krishna Lila, and they were all these Gopas, the friends. So they had come here again in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime as Nityananda's associates, and they were all Gopals. So there are basically important 12 Gopal, like how we have Sakhis. So similarly, there is a category of Gopas also, and there are 12 very prominent one. So here it is the description of one Ramadas, and it is mentioned he is the Mukhya Shakha. He is the chief branch of that of the branches, various branches of Nityananda Prabhu, and he was full of fraternal love of Godhead, fraternal, like as a friend, he had to a great extent. And so he was actually Sri Dama Sakha in Krishna Lila, and Sri Dama Sakha comes as Sri Ramdas. His another name is also known as Abhirami Thakur. So many of you would know the amazing pastimes what Abhiram Thakur was performing and how he was very popular. So there are some devotees actually who appear both when we were discussing Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, both the categories, like there are some common devotees also. So here is Sridama, who is one such devotee who's common to both the places. And he would perform extraordinary activities. He was famous for his flute, his whip, and his obeisances. So
one time when he was overwhelmed with this Sakhir Ras, so he wanted to play a flute. Now he didn't have a flute, he was looking here and there. He began to search for a suitable flute. And then he found a really big log, which is mentioned here, Shola Sangera Kashta. So 60 a tree which had a log which had 16 knots. So he found that big a log which it's mentioned that many men could not lift. Somewhere it's mentioned 16 people could not lift, somewhere it's mentioned 100 people could not move it. So he grabbed that log, he could hold it, and not just that, he made a flute out of it. And being in Sakiras, he began playing that flute. And then he also had a whip which was very famous. It was imbued with the divine mercy, divine power, and whoever was stuck with that whip, the bull whip, he developed love of God. So that is one way he bestowed the divine benediction upon people. And then the obeisances. So of course Nityananda Prabhu had instructed him to preach the message of Lord Chaitanya so that everybody becomes a devotee of Krishna and develops love of God. So he became a very influential preacher. And he noticed that at that time in Bengal, there were many irreligious activities were happening. So Abhiram Thakur, who directly moved from Krishna Lila to Chaitanya Lila, he used supernatural powers to attract people to come to pure devotion. So one of the things was that he would offer his obeisances. Now, if he would offer obeisances to a deity or to a Shila, which was neither consecrated properly without pran pratishtha, or which was not a Shaligram Shila, so that deity or Shila would actually crack or sometimes turn into powder. So his obeisances were that powerful, and that made him very popular and famous. And of course, people who were fake were very afraid of him, non-devotees were very afraid of him. But all these things, his obeisances, his whip, his flute, so everything made him very, assisted him in preaching and taking the message of Lord Chaitanya far and wide.
Gadadhar dasa gopi bhave purnananda Yanra ghare dana kheli kaila nityananda.
Srila Gadadhar Das was always fully absorbed in ecstasy as a gopi. So sometimes Gadadhar Das, he would carry a pot of Ganga water, and while carrying the Ganga water, he will call out, "Who wants to buy some milk? Oh, here I have first class yogurt. Please, whoever wants to buy, come here and buy from me." So like this, he will call out, and then he would really laugh out loud. So he was always fully absorbed in the ecstasy of gopi. In his house, Yanre Ghare Dan Keli Kaila Nityananda. So in his house, Lord Nityananda enacted the drama Dan Keli. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Nityananda Prabhu that you please go to Bengal and you preach, so that time he sent Sri Ramadas and Sri Gadadhar Das along with Nityananda Prabhu to assist him in his preaching mission.
Shri Madhava Ghosha Mukhya Kirtaniya Gane Nityananda Prabhu Nritya Kare Yanra Gane Vasudeva Gite Kare Prabhu Ravarnane Kashta Pashandraveya Shavane. So again, there is a further description of the devotees, wonderful devotees. So here it is Sri Madhav Ghosh. And what was his identity? He was Mukhya Kirtaniya. He was the main Kirtaniya. And when he would sing, when Madhav Ghosh would sing, Nityananda Prabhu Nritya Kare Yanre Gane. So when he would started singing, Nityananda Prabhu would dance. So Madhav Ghosh was the principal performer of Kirtan. And then the other devotee mentioned here is Vasudev Ghosh. So it says, Vasudeva Gite Kare Prabhura Varnane Kashta Pashan Drave Yahara Shravane. So when Vasudev Ghosh would sing, so it is described that Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, while performing Kirtan, and Vasudev, even the wood and stone would melt upon hearing it. So when Vasudev Ghosh would describe the glories of the Sankirtan pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, so even stones, what to talk of stone-hearted people, even the actual stone would melt upon hearing, because he would describe with so much of transcendental love. Murari Chaitanya Dase Ralaukika Leela Vyagra Gale Chada Mare Sarpasane Khela Nityanandir Ganayata Sabavraj Sakha Shringavitra Gopa Vesha Shire Shikhi Paka.
So here this description is of Murari Chaitanya Das. So Murari Chaitanya Das, he did not really have a material bodily features. He was completely spiritual. Sometimes here it's mentioned that how sometimes he would chase actually after the tigers in the jungle and just treat them like cats and dogs. Like, you know, we treat ordinary cats like that. He would treat the tigers in the jungle. And here it's mentioned, Vyagra Gale Chada Mare. Sometimes he would actually slap the cheek of the tiger. We sometimes, when we see a tiger in the zoo and see his powerful body and his face, we, you know, develop some fear. But here he would go and slap the cheek of the tiger. And sometimes Sarpasane Khela. So sometimes he'll just keep the venomous snake on his lap and play with it. So he had no fear of his external body, he was completely forgetful. In fact, he was such an exalted Vaishnava that he would spend 24 hours in chanting. Sometimes 24 hours he would go on speaking the glories of Lord Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is also described that sometimes he'll remain merged in water, not just for a few minutes. In our case, maybe 1-2 minutes, but in his case, 2-3 days also he'll be under water, and he will not feel any bodily inconvenience, and will just be meditating on the Supreme Lord. So it seems that he behaved like, you know, his behavior was sometimes like a wood or a stone, but he used his complete energy in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So therefore, because of his exalted devotional qualities, whenever he would pass from somewhere, just by his presence, the people will become enlightened in Krishna consciousness. So that was the kind of atmosphere he created by his presence. And we see the next verse where it's mentioned Nityananda Gane Yata Saha Vrajera Sakha. So Shakha. So all the associates of Nityananda Prabhu were formerly the cowherd boys of Vrajbhumi. Their symbolic representations were what? So they would carry the horn and they would carry the sticks with them, the cowherding sticks. So these were their symbolic representations, and they would wear the cowherd dress, and they would be in shire. What in the head they will have shikhi paka. So they will have the peacock feathers in their head. Sundarananda Nityanande Shakha Bhritya Marma Yanra Sange Nityananda Kare Vraja Narma.
So here is the description of the second Gopal. So Sudama, the Gopal Sudama comes as Sundarananda. So Sundarananda, another branch of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, was Lord Nityananda's most intimate servant. It says Bhritya Marma, he was Bhritya or servant. So he was very, very intimate servant of Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda Prabhu perceived the life of Vraj Bhumi in his company. So whenever Nityananda would be with him, he would feel that he is in Vrindavan, and he would relish similar pastimes with him. So it is described, Srila Prabhupada describes there in the purport that Sundarananda is actually a Nashtik Brahmachari. So he never married in his life, and that is how he do not have any direct descendants. But he has his disciples who would carry on this branch of Sundarananda. Kamalakar Pippalai Alaukika Rita Alaukika Prema Tanra Bhuvane Vidita.
So now here the description is of the third Gopal, Mahabal, or who came in Chaitanya Lila, Nityananda Lila as Kamalakar Pippalai. So Kamalakar Pippalai is said to have been the third Gopal. His behavior and love of Godhead were uncommon, and thus he is celebrated all over the world. Aulakika Rita, so Alaukika Prem, he had extraordinary, transcendental, unseen in the material world. He had such love, and therefore he was celebrated all over the world. So actually, again, there's a very long purport describing these different devotees. So Prabhupada is mentioning there that there is one devotee called Dhruvanand. So he had a great desire to visit Jagannath Puri. So he went there, had darshan, and then he had a desire to cook bhoga for the deities with his own hand. So Lord came in his dream. So Jagannath personally appeared in Dhruvananda's dream, and he said, you go to, there is a village called Mahesh, you go there and you worship me. So so this devotee Dhruvanand goes to Mahesh, there Ganga ji is flowing, and in Ganga, this devotee discovers the deities of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. So the deities are flowing in Ganga, and he, picked up those deities and he installed them in a small kutia, and then he worshipped them with great affection, and he was greatly satisfied. So all his desire of cooking for the Lord and worshipping the Lord and taking care of the deities and having beautiful darshan of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra were completely fulfilled by the Lord. So as he grew old, he became very anxious that after me, who will take care of these deities? So that is the time, again, Jagannath appeared in the dream and he said, tomorrow, whomever you see first, you hand over to him. So that is the time when Kamalakar Pipalai appeared on the doorsteps of this devotee Dhruvanand. So Dhruvanand saw him and he understood, and he saw he's a great devotee of Jagannath, and happily he handed over the worship of those deities to Kamalakar Pipalai. Gauri Dasa Pandit Yanra Premo Danda Bhakti Krishna Prema Dite Nite Dhare Mahashakti.
So now here is a description of another amazing devotees. I'm sure many of us know him and his place, Ambika Kalan. Many devotees would have visited there also. So Gauri Das Pandit, he is the fourth Gopal, and he is Subala, who comes as Gauri Das Pandit. So Gauri Das Pandit, the emblem of the most elevated devotional service and love of Godhead, had the greatest potency to receive and deliver such love. So he was so very amazing and transcendentally situated devotee that he had the potency to receive the love of Godhead and to pass it on to others, to give it to others. So later, actually, he was there, and then later he came and he resided in this place, Ambika Kalan, very beautiful temple. Even now there is a beautiful temple there. And so here in this temple, there is actually the copy of Bhagavad Gita written by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. It still exists. We visited this place a few years ago, and we were fortunate to have darshan of this Bhagavad Gita, handwriting of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And in front of the temple is a big tamarind tree. So Gauri Das Pandit and Caitanya Mahaprabhu met there underneath this tree. And then in the future, further verses, so like as we can see, verse number 29, 31 and 32, because we are selecting the summary of the whole chapter. So there's a description of the fifth Gopal, Parameshwar Das, who was Arjun in Krishna Lila. So this wonderful devotee, it's mentioned he's completely surrendered to Nityananda, and anyone who remembers his name get Krishna Bhakti very easily. So if you
just remember this
name, if you just remember Parameshwar Das,
Hari.
And I'm sure in our circle, in our devotee circle, we may have devotee by the name Parameshwar Das. So if you just remember, we have in Chennai. So if we have a devotee named Parameshwar Das, or if we just remember Parameshwar Das, so what is the benediction? When one gets Prem Bhakti very easily. Then there is description of Dhananjay Pandit, who was Vasudama in Krishna Lila, and he is the sixth Gopal. So about him it is mentioned that he was very renounced, and again always merged in love of Krishna. So Parameshwar Thakur or Parameshwar Das, he belonged to a Vaidya family, and Dhananjay Pandit, it is mentioned that he was actually in charge of the Sankirtan party. And under the direction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was like conducting the Sankirtan party, and later he went to Vrindavan. So after returning from Vrindavan, he actually established a deity of Gaur Sundar in the temple. Then there is the description of Mahesh Pandit, who is the seventh Gopal. He is very liberal and in great love of Krishna. He danced to the beating of kettle drum like a madman. So all these devotees are mentioned, and their specific attributes or qualities are mentioned. So like for Vrindavan Das Thakur, Prabhupada writes there, sorry, for Mahesh Pandit, it is mentioned that Vrindavan Das Thakur has described him as Param Mahant. Because why so? Because he was very dear to Nityananda Prabhu. So all these amazing, wonderful devotees, very, very close to Nityananda Prabhu, they were willing to do anything. They did anything and everything, whatever Nityananda Prabhu requested them to do. They were all holding this treasure house of Krishna Prem. And whomever they would meet, they would give this love of Krishna.
Navadvipe Purushottam Pandit Mahashaya Nityananda Name Yanra Mahon Madhaya. So here we have the description of the 8th Gopa Stoka Krishna, who appeared in Chaitanya Lila as Purushottam Pandit. He would become almost mad as soon as he heard the holy name of Nityananda Prabhu. So can we just imagine, we every day morning we get up after the morning program, then we sit and we chant, and right from the morning we hear the name of Nityananda Prabhu. Right, in the Kirtan we hear, and then we japa, we chant Panchatattva mantra and we hear. So we hear Nityananda Prabhu, but here we have Purushottam Pandit. So when he hears the name, and he is such transcendental ecstasy arises in him that he almost becomes mad by hearing the name of the Lord. Kana Krishna Dasa Bada Vaishnava Pradhana Nityananda Chandra Vinu Nahi Jane Ana.
So Lavanga Gopa comes as Kala Krishna Das, and it is described that he is a first class Vaishnav and did not know anything. Nityananda Chandra Vinu Nahi Jane Ana. He did not know anything beyond Nityananda Prabhu. His whole world circumambulated around Nityananda Prabhu only. He was so focused, he was so perfect in his devotion.
Ajanma nimagna Nityanandera charane Nirantara balya lila kare Krishna sane. So next is the 10th Gopa, Purushottam Das. From birth, Purushottam Das was merged in the service of lotus feet of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and he always engaged in childish play with Lord Krishna. So here it is mentioned that in Krishna Lila, he would engage in the childlike playing, childish play with the Lord, and here he was engaged in the service of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So he was also born to a family of Vaidyas. So his father, Sadashiv Kaviraj, he's actually in the previous verse he was mentioned. So Sadashiv Kaviraj is Gopi Chandravali, and his son, Purushottam Das' son, Nagara Purushottam. So he was his son and his grandfather. So Sadashiv Kaviraj was Ratnavali, Chandravali, and his grandfather was Ratnavali Gopi. So grandfather was Ratnavali Gopi, father was Chandravali Gopi, and he was himself a Gopal. So such an exalted family lineage he was born in. Mahabhagavata Shrestha Datta Uddharana Sarva Bhave Seve Nityanandera Charana.
So Mahabhagavat Shresht, he is the topmost. So it is interesting and amazing that for all of them, Krishnadas Kaviraj is writing like he's the best, he's the best, and he is also the best, and the other one is also the best, and he is Mahabhagavat, another one is also Shresht. So like that, all of them are Shresht. How is that possible? We understand that there can be only one who's topmost, but that is what the Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva is, that simultaneously all of them are amazing, wonderful. So here we are talking about Udaran Datta Thakur, who is Subahu, the 11th Gopa, an exalted devotee of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. He worshipped the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda in all respects. So he was an extremely elevated and liberal Vaishnava, and it was like he's born with the right to worship Nityananda Prabhu. He had no other desire. he would just meditate on Nityananda Prabhu and worship him. He was a resident of Saptagram, and it is described that Lord Nityananda used to stay in his house. So he was a big zamindar, and Nityananda, whenever there was an opportunity, he would stay in his house. And Udharan Datta actually remained a householder throughout his life.
Vishnu Das Nandan Ganga Das Teen Bhai Purveyandra Ghare Chila Thakur Nitai. Another important devotee of Lord Nityananda Prabhu was Vishnu Das, who had two brothers, Nandana and Ganga Das. Lord Nityananda Prabhu sometimes stayed at their house. So very exalted personalities. They had the good fortune of receiving the Lord at their home. I'm sure some of us have Gaunita deities at home also. So we have good fortune of serving the deities. Nakadi Mukunda Surya Madhava Sridhara Ramananda Vasu Jagannatha Mahidhara.
And here is the 12th Gopa, Sridhar. So the description is Nakadi, Mukunda, Surya, Madhav, Sridhar, Ramananda, Jagannath and Mahidhar, all great devotees. So all these amazing, wonderful devotees comprises different branches of Nityananda Prabhu. So here, so far, we have discussed these 12 Gopas, and who are they in Gaur Lila, were they in Krishna Lila, and which verses the description has come. So if you want, you can take a screenshot of this page for our memory, as in which all Gopas have come here and how they have come.
Vasanta Navani Hoda Gopal Sanatana Vishnai Hajara Krishna Nanda Sulochana. So all these devotees, Vasanta, Navani Hoda, Gopal, Sanatan, Vishnai Hajra, Krishnananda, Sulochana. So all these are exalted devotees of Lord Nityananda. So Navani Hoda was the son of Raja Krishnadas, who arranged the marriage of Lord Nityananda in the village Shaligram, described in Bhakti Ratnakar. Kamsari Sena Rama Ramachandra Kaviraj Govinda Shiranga Mukuntina Kaviraja.
Kamsari Sen, Ram Sen, Ramchandra Kaviraj, Govinda, Sri Ranga and Mukunda, who were all physicians. So they were also amazing devotees of Nityananda Prabhu, and these 6 devotees mentioned here, they are all actually the physicians. So starting from Sri Ramchandra Kaviraj, who was a disciple of Srinivas Acharya, and he was the most intimate friend of Narottam Das Thakur. So Jiva Goswami, if we read, then we find that he was very much appreciative of Sri Ramachandra Kaviraj because of his great devotion to Lord Krishna. And therefore he gave this title of Kaviraj to him. So Jiva Goswami himself presented this title of Kaviraj to Sri Ramachandra. And Prabhupada mentions there that Ramachandra Kaviraj was actually disinterested in family life, and he was actively assisting Srinivas Acharya and Narottam Das Thakur in their preaching work. So another very important thing what we can see is that when we are talking about various devotees of Nityananda, so it is not that all are brahmacharis or sannyasis. So many of them are grihastas. So many of them are family people who are taking care of their necessities or the duties of the family, and simultaneously they are assisting in the preaching work. And all of them are preachers. So that is another thing, because Nityananda Prabhu's army, so Nityananda himself is the most powerful preacher in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's army, and then all his followers and associates, they were all preachers. So the Govinda Kaviraj who's mentioned here is the brother of Ramchandra Kaviraj. So these are all basically the physicians.
Nartaka Gopala Rama Bhadra Gaurang Dasa Nrsimha Chaitanya Meena Ketan Ramadasa. Meena Ketan Ramadas is Sankarshan. And then we have other personalities, the Nartak Gopal, the dancer Gopal, then we have Ramabhadra, Gaurang Das, Narsimha Chaitanya, and Meena Ketan Ramdas, who's Sankarshan himself.
Vrindavan Das Narayani Ranandana Chaitanya Mangala Yeho Karila Rachana. So here is a description of Vrindavan Das Thakur. And as we know, Vrindavan Das Thakur is actually the combination of Ved Vyas. So actually there is this verse which says that the Ved Vyas of Caitanya Lila is Vrindavan Das Thakur. So he's a combination of Ved Vyas and the cowherd Kusum Peed. So Vrindavan Das Thakur, the son of Srimati Narayani, composed Sri Chaitanya Mangal, which is later known as Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. The Vyas of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Vrindavan Das. So he has written this most amazing scripture full of all the pastimes. So actually it is said that Chaitanya Charitamrita has a lot of philosophy, but Chaitanya Bhagavat, that way, is pure nectar because it is full of pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the early pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is mentioned in such great detail by Vrindavan Das Thakur. And this Vrindavan Das Thakur also comes as one of the branches of Nityananda Prabhu. Ananta Nityananda Gana Ke Karu Ganana Atma Pavitrata Hetu Likhila Kajana.
So this point is being repeated by Krishnadas Kaviraj. He's saying no one can count the unlimited followers of Nityananda Prabhu. I have mentioned some of them just for Atma Pavitrata Hetu, so that my soul becomes purified, so that just for my self-purification. That is why I have mentioned whomever he could, the prominent ones, although no one, Ananta Nityananda Gana. So there are actually unlimited associates of Lord Nityananda, Ki Karu Ganana. So very similar verse which he said in the beginning of the chapter, he is stating that same again.
Ye sarva shakha purna pakva prema phale yare dekhe tare diya bhasai sakale. All these branches, the devotees of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, being full of ripened fruits of love of Krishna, distributed these fruits to all they met, flooding them with love of Krishna. So if we remember in the previous chapter, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that he is the tree and he is the gardener also. And he says that I'm the gardener, so this tree of love of Godhead has come up and there are unlimited fruits there in this tree. And he's calling out to each one of us to come and help him in distributing these fruits of that tree of love of Godhead. So here it is mentioned that this Nityananda Prabhu's branch and the devotees there, so they are all full of these ripened fruit of love of Krishna. They have all perfected their life in devotional service, and they are carrying these amazing fruits, which is just rightly ripened. So the fruit, like for example, the mango, if it gets over ripened, then very soon
the taste changes.
The taste changes, yeah, and it starts rotting. And if it is a little less than perfectly ripened, then it has slightly what khatta?
Sour taste.
Sour taste. So these devotees are carrying the perfectly ripened fruit of Krishna love, neither more nor less. And they are distributing everybody, and they are distributing it for free. The only currency is Shraddhavana Janehe, just little faith. So just if anybody has little faith, and they are just flooding them with love of Krishna.
So if you want to join Lord Nityananda's party, then we should also consume these ripened fruits, and we should also distribute these fruits. So if we distribute whomever we meet, here it's mentioned, distribute these fruits to all they met. So if we also, whomever we meet, we inspire them. In fact, Krishna puts condition, Sar Dharman Parityaj. First you abandon all varieties of religion, surrender unto me, and then Krishna says, I'll take care of you and I'll protect you from all your sins. But here, the request of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu is that whomever you meet, please inspire them, tell them about Lord, tell them to chant the holy names, and tell them about the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and Caitanya caritamrta. So at least once we should try that, whomever we meet, and then we would naturally be accepted as a member of Lord Nityananda's team or party.
Anargala prema sabar cheshta anargala prema dite Krishna dite dhare mahabala. All these devotees had unlimited strength to deliver unobstructed, unceasing love of Krishna. By their own strength, they could offer anyone Krishna and love of Krishna. So, like how we read, just by remembering the name of Parmeshwar Das, we get love of Krishna. So, like that, these devotees, they are so empowered. They are so empowered that they have unlimited strength to not only to deliver, but to see that there is no further obstruction also, and constant unceasing love of Krishna. So just by their own strength, they can offer that to one and all. Sangshepe kahila ei Nityananda gana Yahara avadhi na paye sahasravadana.
I have briefly described only some of the followers and devotees of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Even the 1,000-mouthed Sheshnag cannot describe all these unlimited devotees. So here we can understand that we just had a summary of the summary of the summary of the summary of the associates of Lord Chaitanya, because the 1,000-mouthed Sheshnag cannot describe. So it's not mentioned that 1,000-mouthed Sheshnag could have described. Even he could not have described all these unlimited devotees.
Shri Rupa Raghunatha Padayara Asha Caitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa. With an ardent desire to serve the purpose of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. And similarly, we desiring to please Srila Prabhupada, so just repeating his purports, repeating whatever Prabhupada has written there for the pleasure of the devotees, so that we all together, you and me and us, we can all meditate on the wonderful pastimes of Lord Nityananda Prabhu and his devotees. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So,
Mataji, if you allow, Mataji, if you allow, so Prabhuji, so a few questions, if they have any questions regarding today's topic or regarding Chaitanya Charitamrita, they can ask. And before that, Mataji and Prabhuji, so if you sing 2-4 lines, Gorango Bolite Have, because in the recorded lecture, I have heard that you sang and Prabhuji also joined you. So 4 lines only.
Sure, Prabhu. Just a minute, we are opening the song. Probably first we will read the meaning of the song so that we can meditate.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
When will that opportune moment come to us, when there will be shivering of the body as soon as we chant Lord Gauranga's name? While chanting Hare Krishna, when will there be tears in my eyes?
When will I obtain the mercy of Lord Nityananda Chandra? When by his mercy will the desire for material enjoyment become very insignificant?
When the mind is completely purified, being freed from material anxieties and desires, then I shall be able to understand Vrindavan and the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, and then my spiritual life will be successful.
When shall I be very much eager to study the books left by the 6 Goswamis, headed by Sri Rupa Goswami, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami? By their instruction, I shall be able to properly understand the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna.
My only aspiration is to attain the lotus feet of the 6 Goswamis, headed by Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Narottam Das constantly prays to attain their lotus feet.
So actually this beautiful, amazing song by Narottam Das, it talks about, it's a Viraha song, like in separation. And he is singing this song, he has written this song, remembering or like hankering that when will he attain spiritual perfection. So various elements of spiritual perfection are described here. And he's talking about when that time will come, when I'll attain that. So let's all try to sing the song. Gauranga balite hobe pulaka sharira hari hari balite nayana babenira.
Gauranga balite habe pulaka sharira hari hari bolite nayana babenira.
Araka venitai chande karuna haive shamsara vashana mora kabe tu chahave.
Araka benitai chande karuna hoibe samsara basana mora kabe tu chahabe.
Vishaya chadiya kabe shuddha habe mana kabaha mahirabo Shri Vrindavana.
Vishaya chariya kabe shuddha habe mana kabe mahirabo Shri Vrindavana.
Gauranga balite hobe pulaka sharira hari hari balite nayana babenira.
Gauranga balite habe pulaka sharira hari hari bolite nayana babenira.
Rupara gunatha pade hoibe akuti kab hame bujhabo se jugala piriti.
Rupara gunatha pade hoibe akuti kabe hame bujhabe jugala piriti.
Rupara gunatha pade raho mora asha प्रार्थना करो ये सदा नरोत्तम दासा.
Rupara gunata pade rahu mora dasha प्रार्थना करो ये सदा नरोत्तम दासा गौरंग बोलिते हमें पुलक शरीरा हरि हरि बोलिते नयन बबनीरा.
Such a beautiful prayer where we are actually singing Gauranga Balite Habe Pulak Sharira. Mera sharir, mere roam pulkit ho jayenge. Like the hairs will stand on my body when I'll chant Gauranga. And Hari Hari Bolite Nayana Babenira. Just by saying Hari Hari, the tears will start rolling from my eyes. So when that time will come.
When?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving an opportunity to meditate on this.
Speechless. I'm speechless, Mataji, Prabhuji. I'm speechless. Was so wonderful. Wonderfully presented. Wonderfully presented. And anyone has any question today's topic or Chaitanya Chaitamrita, please ask. Please go ahead. Simply wonderful.
And any comments also, or if some devotees would like to add anything,
Share something, some experience,
yes.
or
Yes.
their,
realization, anything. We will be happy to hear.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, I have been to Navadvip many times. There I see many people over there claiming their lineage from the, Nityananda Prabhu. So how much that is authentic? Really they belong to that lineage, or they're claiming it falsely, over there?
actually, if you read this chapter only, in one of the purports where Veerbhadra Goswami's description is going on, and there is a description of his 3 sons. And there it is mentioned, Prabhupada mentions, in fact, he's quoting Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary, that their gotras are different. So it is not his own sons that way. So must be disciples of Veerbhadra Goswami. So the lineage of Nityananda Prabhu, actually, in our case, what is important is that whether the principles are being followed or not. So it is not just seminar lines, or seminar lines are not so important. So if somebody says, Nityananda Vamsha, we offer respects, but whether the principles are being followed or not is what is extremely important.
Test.
That's I mean, so that is what is very, very important. And therefore we see that in our case, when we trace our Guru Parampara, so we're tracing primarily based on how the principles have come down, how the disciplic succession, the Siksha Parampara. Does that help you, Prabhu?
Prabhuji, if anybody is claiming that he is a lineage from the Nityananda Prabhu, maybe true, may not be true, But are they in the same parampara that we are from?
Actually, Prabhu, one more aspect which we need to understand is like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared 500 years ago, and we read that when Bhakti Vinod Thakur came, by that time itself, everything was lost to the extent that the place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the birthplace itself was lost. And Bhakti Vinod did this scholarly studying of scriptures, and somehow he could locate that where it is, and he established all the lost places. So in almost 300 years, the things were lost. So when we are talking about that parampara, yes, chances are there that it is the same. But then are they following the instructions? So that would define whether it is the same or there is some concoction. Like when we go to Jagannath Puri, especially, we have heard that there is one particular parampara who have twisted the Panchatattva mantra itself. They sing
they don't chant Panchatattva mantra,
they chant some mantra, Jai Radhe Govinda, they add to it. So Prabhupada would not approve of that. So we understand that whatever Prabhupada has given, we stick to that until the time we are loyal to Srila Prabhupada. We are there in the parampara. I may be initiated, but if I'm not loyal to Prabhupada's instruction, then I am not in the parampara that way. So that way we can understand that those who are claiming also, how much are they following, how much they understand the essence, and how much they are maintaining the integrity of the instructions.
So in your question, when you say Nityananda Vamsha, so if we are talking about the seminal line, so it is not so important that way. Why? Because when we look at the disciplic succession, it does not move. The seminal line is not important for the disciplic succession. So I guess that is what it is. Does that help, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu, yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Or anyone, please ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much for a very wonderful presentation. So I have two questions. So first question is, so Prabhupada mentions many times that Krishna consciousness is a science, like it has a stages like Adav Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, like that, all the stages, and highest stage is Prema or love of Krishna. So my question is, you mentioned in some of the places that some of the devotees of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, they can distribute this love of Krishna to to others as well. So I wanted to like understand logically, like how what does it mean, and how should we understand it?
Prabhu, as we were discussing in today's class, so we were talking about these devotees, we were parallelly discussing in what capacity they were present in Krishna Lila. So actually we were not talking about Nitya Baddha devotees, we were talking about Nitya Siddha devotees. So they are perfect and they come along with the Lord whenever Lord comes in whatever avatar, whatever form he comes and he performs his pastime, they come along with that and they fill in different roles. So they are these perfect devotees who have the capacity to actually give because they possess it. They have that Krishna Prem to the perfection. So yes, they have this ability, this capability, this qualification to pass on that level of Krishna love. So when we are talking about Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, so they can give to the topmost level. Now it depends on what is my capacity to receive it. So it is causeless. Their passing on this love of Godhead is causeless. But how much am I receiving? How deep is my vessel and how much can I contain in myself? So that way it comes on me. Like if we read Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when especially in the Madhya-lila chapters, it comes when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is traveling in Jharikhanda forest. What to talk of human being? He is giving this love of Godhead to the animals, various animals he is distributing. And when he is traveling in South India, so whichever person Mahaprabhu meets and he embraces that person, and that person is completely full of Krishna Prem, and this person goes back to his town and he embraces the other person, and that person gets become full of Krishna Prem. So just by coming in contact, this is how it is happening. They are becoming perfect just by Mahaprabhu's causeless mercy. So all these devotees also are equally equipped with distributing this love of Godhead.
And if we see ourselves in the picture, so what happens is that, you know, you have perfected devotees, and then we have in other cases Kripa, the Kripa Shakti of the Lord, which bestowed love of God on animals, as Sukhi is explaining, or other devotees. And in other cases, in cases like ours, we have to go through the process of the sadhana bhakti. That is the prescribed method, and that is what the Goswamis, they compile all the literature that for all the times to come, this is the process which devotees have to follow and perfect their lives.
We follow the process and depend on Kripa. Because though Prabhupada has oversimplified the process, and yet we find it, at times we find it so challenging. So we always take shelter of the Kripa Shakti of Lord and his devotees. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most munificent, and we see all his devotees are also so magnanimous, like Srila Prabhupada and like the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So how they are freely distributing this love of Godhead. So we just have to grab it and perfect it.
Amazing, Mataji and Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the wonderful explanation. My second question is, many times I come to Mayapur, so I'm just curious, which places we can go to see these principal gopas of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, or main devotees of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. If you could suggest, I'll be happy to visit them.
Yeah, so for that you have to study this chapter. Prabhupada gives so much of detail. This train, this station, you have to get down. So much detail Prabhupada has given. Of course, I think most of it research was done by Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, and Prabhupada has presented that knowledge as it is. A great amount of detail. I was thinking, maybe for devotees like you, only Prabhupada has mentioned that in the purport. I was thinking, mostly I'll go to Mayapur, maybe visit the 9 islands, and that's all. But because some of these devotees are born and they establish temples and deities in far off places also. And Prabhupada is mentioned, like in one of these purports in this chapter, Prabhupada mentions that they're from, there's a train, I think from Calcutta, goes to this town. In the rainy season, there is no access. So the devotees will go from some other direction. So I guess
it's very detailed. Bhaktivedanta purports here is very, very amazing for this chapter. I mean, very
some cases,
very detailed location Prabhupada has given.
Now, I don't know whether the towns and the names of those towns have changed or not, but still most of the places, I guess the names will be known.
Ambika Kalan, you can definitely visit.
Kalan
it is close.
Place,
It is close by to Mayapur, and it is very, very amazing and purifying place.
So now you have the chapters. You can make the list. Maybe look at Google where they are, how far they are from Mayapur, and then plan a trip. I'm sure Mayapur tourism would help you.
Ambika Kalan, the deities are also very amazing. I'm sure we all would know that pastime, that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu visited Gauri Das Pandit and he wanted them to stay with him. So after a few days, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, now we have to leave. And he started requesting, you can't leave, you can't leave. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, okay, you get our deities made. So that is the first Gaur Nitai, first set of Gaur Nitai deities which were carved. And Mahaprabhu said that I am investing my complete potency in these deities, and these deities are not different from me. So you keep these deities and I'm going. So Gauridas Pandit was very clever. He said, if they are not different from you, then let these deities go and you stay with us. So Mahaprabhu said, okay, that is fine. Deities started walking, and Gaur Nitai became Gaur Nitai. They became the deities. And then Gauridas Pandit became confused and he ran behind that walking Gaur Nitai and he caught hold of him and he said, no, you cannot go. Let these deities go, you stay. So Mahaprabhu said, okay. And then these walking deities, again they became deities, and the Gaur Nitai, they started walking. So like that it was happening repeatedly. And then finally Mahaprabhu said that, why don't you understand that there is no difference between us and these deities? So then Gauridas Pandit understood. So those deities are still there in Ambika Kalan. And it is also mentioned there that there is this benediction attached, that if a pure devotee of Krishna would come, then these deities would walk and go along with him. So that is why when we have darshan of this Ambika Kalan deity, so they keep putting the curtain on and off. They put the curtain and then there will be darshan, and then they'll close the curtain again, so that the Gaur Nitai deity should not start walking with that devotee. So that place is there. That's very beautiful place. You must visit that one.
Yeah, they say that is a Jhalak Darshan.
Jhalak Darshan, yeah.
Mataji, I just share one experience today evening. There is a huge storm and rain today afternoon, and my phone battery was very low. Even my Wi-Fi battery also very low. So I was very anxious actually. Half an hour and 1 hour, there is a huge storm and rain at Mayapur. And there is a load setting here, and I don't have inverter. So I pray to Lord, because generally we heard these prayers in Mangala Charan. Senior devotees do that. Kathanjana smrite yasmin duskaram sukharam bhavet bismrite viparitam syat Sri Chaitanyam namani tam. Namani tam. Things that are very difficult to do become easy to execute if one somehow or other simply remembers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But if one does not remember him, even the easy things become very difficult. To this Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I offer my respectful obeisances. So this is my today's experience. Within 15 minutes, the light came, the government light came,
Hari
and I
Hari.
get my phone charged and my
Hari
Wi-Fi battery charged. It's an amazing experience, actually. I was very much worried how to conduct that. So anybody else, please ask questions. It is a wonderful session, Mataji and Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Mataji. I have a question. Actually, when Vishnu Prabhu asked and Mataji was explaining, she mentioned that how much mercy we are able to absorb. It depends on our capacity to absorb the causeless mercy because it is infinite. So my question is, how can we increase our capacity to like absorb the mercy? Because yes, Srila Prabhupada has really simplified the process for us, but at the same time we find it very confusing that yes, we are reading the books, we are chanting, we are going to the temple, associating with devotees, attending the class, but still we are not able to absorb the mercy or not able to realize that we are absorbing the mercy. So my question is how we can absorb the mercy and also realize that yes, we are progressing on this path, because sometimes it feels like we are stagnant, there is no progress and we are not moving anywhere.
One thing, if we start measuring, we do a little bit and then we measure, okay, where am I? And then we do a little bit and then again we measure, where am I? So we may get really frustrated. And like you were saying that, we may not be making much progress. So actually, once in a while it is okay, but our main focus is not to see where I have reached or how much I have accomplished. My focus in day-to-day life should be how much shelter am I seeking in the holy name. So it all boils down to every devotional act that I do, how sincerely, how non-duplicitously am I doing that service. So when I sit in the morning and I chant japa, I understand that this is the highest process, chanting the holy names of the Lord. I understand that the holy name and the Lord are non-different. I remind myself of the offenses. I know that I should be attentive while chanting. So these things I remind myself in the morning, and I put in my sincere effort that let today's japa be the best japa I have done in my life. Let this holy name that I'm going to chant now be the attentive holy name, because when I chant Hare Krishna, not different from the Lord. This transcendental sound vibration is not different from the Lord. So I need to, that is where my focus is. That is where my energy goes. So when I have some time, I know that I must read Prabhupada books every day. Am I doing that? There is so much of emphasis from the senior GBCs and the leaders and the devotees. All of them emphasize so much that we must study Prabhupada books daily. Am I doing that? And when I open up, is my agenda the number of pages and the number of verses that I'm covering up, which is also okay in one way, but trying to understand what Prabhupada is saying and seeing that how it applies in my own life, what information I can share with others, which is very inspiring to me. So like this, in every small or big things that I do, if I seek shelter in them, shelter of the holy name, shelter of devotees, shelter of the scriptures, prasad, so in all things, if I become, the modern times they use the word mindful of that, what activity am I doing. So if I just do that, the mercy is there and it is not difficult to access. If we compare to what people have to do in the previous ages, this is nothing. So that is where our focus on a day-to-day basis there, and then I'm sure nothing, we don't really have to worry about anything.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, on the question of Disha Mataji, so what is the ultimate barometer, you know, at the end of the day, that yes, I'm getting the mercy? So because whatever you said, this is fine, but that can be that can be my own mental confrontation also. Okay, I'm getting this happiness, that happiness, you know, that can be my mental confrontation also. But is there is an ultimate barometer, you know, which can say, okay, now yes.
Actually,
That
I
yes.
would say that rather than focusing or rather than measuring my progress, where I was yesterday, how much I have progressed today. So if I'm thinking like that, who's in the center?
Krishna.
The center is still me, because I am thinking about my progress. Where is the pleasure of Krishna? So if I start meditating on how to serve Krishna, how to please Krishna, any activity which we are doing, there would be choices, there would be ways and means to do. I'm not talking only about the spiritual activity, but in my dealing with others. Let's talk about dealing with so-called non-devotees. How am I dealing with my neighbor? How am I dealing with my teacher? How am I dealing with my colleague? In all my relationships, can I think that what would be pleasing to Krishna? How do I respond that it pleases Krishna? How do I serve prasad that it pleases Krishna? How do I chant my japa that it pleases Krishna? So rather than thinking about whether I am progressing or not progressing, if I start thinking about how to please Krishna. So that
Mataji,
yes,
I got your point.
Yes.
So Mataji, what I mean to say that I might be thinking that I am serving at the best to the Krishna, you know, but that might not be the best, you know. I might be under some illusions.
So that is why we study Caitanya Charitamrta, which is like a user manual where we see that
but
so many things are described.
But it is a scientific process, Mataji. There must be some kind of, you know, barometer that because we are doing very bhakti. So we are not in the Raganuga level. So we are doing very bhakti. So at the end of the day, you know, I should know, you know, yes, I'm really progressing something which is pleasing Krishna or not, you know.
Sometimes when we are speaking to devotees, couples, so the husband would say, you know, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. So I would say, actually, you cannot self-certify yourself as good. Your wife has to certify. So similarly, I cannot say I'm good, doing good, bad, ugly, whatever. Actually, we understand if the devotees are pleased with me, if my spiritual master is pleased with me, if my senior devotees are pleased with me, and usually that is where we stop speaking. But I would also add other point, that if the local ISKCON management is pleased with me, with my humble service attitude, then Lord must be pleased with me. Because when the devotees are pleased, when the Vaishnavas are pleased, and the spiritual master is pleased, and in ISKCON we have two lines of authority. We have the spiritual line authority, which includes Siksha and Diksha Guru, all taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada, and we have the managerial line, the GBCs, which are the ultimate managerial authority in ISKCON. So if the local management, which is representative of the GBC, if they are also temple president and the devotees there in the temple, if they are also pleased with me, with my conduct, with my attitude, I may not be doing some big service, but whatever service is given, I try to do the best of me, and the attitude is pleasing to them, then definitely the Lord is pleased with me. So if you're talking about barometer, maybe that's a good barometer. It's a tough one also.
Yeah.
And actually, I would like to add there that Prabhu's talking about my guru, my authority, my seniors. It is easy to please them still. The most challenging ones are our equals. So whether my equals are pleased with me or not. See, because with our seniors or with our guru, we are so much in awe and reverence that
naturally
we would try to be humble, we would try to please them.
Yes.
But in our dealings with our equals, how we are dealing there, that brings out our real self. So are they pleased?
So actually, when we see in Nectar of Instruction, there is a discussion of Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttama. And you will notice that Kanishta has so much of reverence for the deities, but not for the devotees.
Yes.
Whereas a Madhyama means that he knows how to deal with devotees. He follows Vaishnava etiquettes. He knows appropriate dealing with the younger devotee, with the equal devotee, with the senior devotee. So that is amazing, because deities never complained. Deities are in the altar, always smiling, ocean of mercy.
And gurus also, there are so many disciples, so we don't get personal chastisement or correction or direct instruction.
But it is only devotees who always complain. So if we can please them, and if they have favorable, merciful attitude towards us, and especially if we serve them in a way that they may not say, but their hearts are pleased. So that mercy is so powerful that will attract attention of the Lord towards us.
Also, Prabhuji, this reminds me of one of the analogy which Srila Prabhupada gives often. So he says that when we are sitting in an aircraft, so when the aircraft takes off, so at the beginning we understand that, okay, suddenly something is happening and we are moving. But when the aircraft reaches at a particular altitude and then it is progressing further, but then we do not realize any movement when we are high up in the sky. So Prabhupada says that the progress is happening, though we do not realize. So if we are following the principles which are given by Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas, if we are following strictly to that, then we are definitely progressing. We should have that faith also, that ultimately Krishna is there. I mean, I cannot do everything on my own. I have no qualification, but I am trying to sincerely follow the instructions of my seniors. So that would automatically lead to the progress. So I may not realize that I'm progressing, and I should not become puffed up also that I'm progressing. Then I must have that faith that if I faithfully follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, then my life will be perfect. So if I have that faith, I'm progressing then.
And even Prabhuji, we can add also like dealings with non-devotees also matter. Prabhuji and Mataji, dealings with non-devotees also.
Yes, so if we see it's at a couple of places in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that the devotee is deals with all living entities very very nicely. You know, does not he does not there is no ahimsa, which means he does not put the other living entities in anxiety. So that covers.
Prabhupada does not write about devotees alone. He says ahimsa, Prabhupada defines in 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where he says that ahimsa means not causing anxiety to any other living entity.
So that's natural for devotees. So we have some path to cover.
So being devotee is one thing. First we have to be human. So being human and treating everyone with due respect. Yes.
So if there is any question, otherwise we can end the session.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I have one question.
Please ask.
So all my questions are answered. All my questions are answered by all these already asked devotees. I always have a feeling, though I keep chanting, Lord is not still pleased with me. I have that feeling. The only thing I do is I keep chanting, and I always have a feeling why Lord is not still pleased with me. I don't know why I get this feeling.
I would say rather than feeling this way, you start focusing on how can I please Lord. That is a positive
Yeah.
way of looking at it rather than thinking Lord is not pleased with me.
No, the only in my case, I only attribute all my activities to chanting. Right, chanting all time. Whenever I feel like, I sit down and chant. I sit down and chant. Okay, now it's so many rounds. Now so many rounds. Now so many rounds. But still, I don't know. Am I right? I always have that question, but still I do it.
I mean, one thing that Sukriti is saying is a good way of moving forward. I think that's what she's helping you with, that how do we move forward? When that thought comes, Lord is not pleased with me, with my japa. Maybe you can offer, maybe before you start your japa, see, when Krishna speaks this, you want to say something?
Yeah, I start with Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya, and then I start doing my japa.
Yeah, I'm saying in Bhagavad Gita, for example, Krishna says, Yat karoshi yat dashnasi. So that is when you perform an activity, then you offer the results to the Lord. But in our case, before we do the activity, we remember the Lord. And we say, Lord, I'm going to chant japa.
I think if I should say, I'm not to be true, I do that. For everything is only Krishna Arpanam, and I.
So good. Then you don't let your mind eclipse. Don't let your mind eclipse. So sometimes the mind is afflicted with negative thoughts, with unreasonable thoughts, which are not grounded in reality. So you can just ignore it as well. You are not the mind. So don't worry about these thoughts. With time, that such thought may go away as well.
Yeah, we need to replace these negative thoughts with positive thoughts.
Psychotherapist.
So hope that answers. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, all the devotee community, for inviting us and for giving us an opportunity to glorify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Thank you.
We three times Haribol to Amarendra Prabhu and Sukirti Mataji. Haribol, Haribol,
Haribol.
And please do come again and again because with your help, the devotees' help, senior devotees' help, we are completing Chaitra Chaitamrita. I don't have any qualification. So Prabhuji Mataji, wonderful session. Thank you so much. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.